Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies marched higher Monday as digital assets blew through an established range to start a new month of trading. With October a historically good month for cryptos, analysts are bullish on the coming weeks. The price of Bitcoin has risen 4% over the past 24 hours to $2,300, rallying from below $27,000 on Saturday to hit its highest level in more than a month. The largest digital asset has mostly been stuck in a stagnant trading range around $26,000 since mid-August, amid historically low volatility and trading volumes, with the latest pop marking a return to Bitcoin's characteristic excitement. October, or Uptober as it's known, is already living up its reputation as Bitcoin's favorite month, with Bitcoin rising to a 6-week high, said Anthony Trenchev, founder and managing partner at crypto lender Nexo. Let's not get too excited until Bitcoin breaks out of the $26,000 to $30,000 range where it's been languishing for most of the past 6 months. There were a few immediate catalysts to explain the move here in Bitcoin, through leverage building up in the Bitcoin perpetual futures market. The most liquid market in all of crypto likely helped prime the pump. Some $270 million worth of short positions, betting on a fall in prices, have been wiped out since last week, according to CoinGlass data, as Bitcoin prices began to surge higher from the low 26,000s, adding upside momentum to the existing rally. But Bitcoin was already on a roll, heading into a new month of trading after we bring on the final quarter of 2023, because the last couple of times Bitcoin rose in September, way back in 2015 and 2016, it posted gains in each of the next 3 months, said Trenchev. Bitcoin has clocked positive returns in 8 out of the past 10 Octobers and each of the last 4, so hopes are high among the faithful that the grandfather of cryptocurrencies can gain some impetus this month after a rare positive September.
The likely drivers really that are going to be looking at, liquidity, Bell, has been a persistent issue. Is that expected to pick up?
That one's very hard to tell, but yes. But you can say that certainly a lack of liquidity in the space, which is really just down to the lack of investment interest that we've seen, and down to a lot of different factors that we can get through. Of course, you've got the macro one with the amount of rate rises still feeding through, and then also just the lack of regulatory clarity in the space. But yeah, certainly that lack of liquidity is a reason, if you take a look at Bitcoin on a year-to-date basis, that you've just continued to see prices trading in a very tight range, really between, say, 26 to 28,000 for the most part.
It's been there for a while as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, since March of this year, which was that tick high, was down to the regional banking crisis. But yeah, certainly one of the key indicators we're watching, really what could help change the dial perhaps, is down to regulatory clarity, which is something to note as well, because even though we have seen progress, it's interesting when you think about jurisdictions here in Hong Kong, Singapore, Middle East, Japan, Europe, all of these regulators are starting to push ahead in some way, but it's the US that's really holding out or waiting still if we get something there.
Bearish, not least if you look at Bitcoin, for instance. I mean, you've got Death Cross forming a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago.
Right,
so that's one of the indicators. But what is the mood, if you will?
I think it still does really just depend on what happens in terms of the regulatory clarity, because the big one for Bitcoin, you speak about the Death Cross, so the 50-day moving average moved below the 200-day moving average, and so that told us that the outlook is not looking great. What could really spark some sort of sustained interest again would be whether we saw some sort of approval from Gary Gensler, you can see here, but Spotcoin bit filing, or ETF essentially, so it would be allowing investors to go directly into a place like BlackRock, for instance, and make a bet on the direction of Bitcoin prices. But the SEC has so far really just held back from making any sort of decision. They've continued to delay or defer them months ahead. So we were sort of hoping or expecting something in the fourth quarter, but just given the action last week from the SEC making another delay once again on a filing, it tells us perhaps we're not going to see it over the coming 3 months.
Beyond Bitcoin, Ether, the second largest crypto, jumped 3% to 1,130. Smaller tokens or altcoins also advanced, with Cardano climbing 5% and Polygon popping 4%. Memecoins saw more of the same, with Dogecoin and Shiba Inu both gaining 2%, aiding history in September, outperforming the S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average to rise for the first September in 7 years. History suggests the outperformance could continue in October.